Good evening. I'm Jerry Fichette.
I'm Joe Boyle.
Welcome to another edition of Space Showtime. This week's show is going to bring you some excerpts of last week's trade show in Las Vegas, Nevada. Joe?
Very, I'm glad we're both back with our jackets on.
It's really, it was a grueling week, wasn't it?
After 4 days in Las Vegas. I think right off the bat, though, it's important to say that we had 12,000 attendees. And a week before, without doubt, there were people ready to bury us. But there's no question that this business is alive and well.
Definitely back on the upswing. A lot of enthusiasm generated by the trade show and brought to the trade show by the participants and those attending. I was really impressed.
I was very impressed too, Jerry. I think that it started off very positive with Taylor's keynote address, which you'll be seeing in a moment, and that momentum continued throughout the show, ending with a legislative address by a number of congressmen, which we'll be seeing later on in the show as well.
Very good. Tonight, we're going to start out, we're also going to show, we're going to start with Taylor Howard, but we're also going to show a couple of addresses at the banquet, which were not seen by anybody except those attending at the banquet, which was a limited crowd. And those are two exciting addresses by both Congressman Tim Wirth and Senator Al Gore. So those are very exciting. And we're going to be back with more of tonight's show right after this commercial message.
Dealers, Luxor presents great savings on the best selection of satellite products in the industry. It's your Luxor Satellite System Sales event, and it's the easiest, most efficient, most cost-effective way to get the satellite products and services you need to be a successful home satellite TV dealer. One call delivers the electronics, antennas, and accessories, all Luxor brand, all guaranteed and all backed up with technical support when you need it. Here is system package pricing like you've never seen before, ranging from the top-of-the-line 9900 block satellite system with a 10.5 antenna to the $99.95 receiver package with a 9-foot aluminum antenna. All prices are suggested dealer cost. Actual dealer costs are determined by your authorized Luxor distributor, who has the details, or call 1-800-245-9995 for sales and service information. Ask about the $25 manufacturer's rebate.
Welcome back. You know, Wednesday of last week, Joe, was the opening day of the trade show. Of course, a lot of preparation work, board meetings, and all the preliminary workings that go to these trade shows had taken place by that time. And Wednesday morning, the 19th, was the setting for Taylor Howard's, what I think will go down as one of the best speeches ever given to this industry. His address to the industry on the state of the industry, and why don't you tell us how that all was set up?
Well, I think that you're right. There was an awful lot of work that went into Taylor's address. Taylor wrote a fine speech. He was introduced by Space President Dave Johnson. Dave set the stage very nicely by saying that the industry is now in a very unique time. We are now responding to a new marketplace. Dealers are asked to show a new kind of expertise and to be able to sell in a marketplace that has changed greatly from last year. I think Taylor managed to crystallize all of the important issues that we now face. He managed to address the finer qualities and characteristics of the satellite dish, and I think that, as we've said, Jerry, that's the primary mission right here, at least to stress the benefits of the satellite dish and the choices that it offers and the benefits that it offers consumers. It was, without a doubt, a fine address.
Well, we're going to go to that piece right now, an introduction of Taylor Howard by our own president, Dave Johnson.
My primary reason for standing up here this morning, though, is a very pleasurable one for me. It's my pleasure to introduce the chairman of the board of Space, a man who is a co-founder of Space. You know, I was there that day in June of 1980 in Anaheim when Space was formed, and Taylor Howard was one of the real principals that caused it to happen. He's also a research scientist for Stanford University. He does extensive research for NASA. He's the director of research and development for Chaparral Communications. He's a very good friend of mine and certainly one of the best friends this industry ever had. Dr. Taylor Howard.
Good morning. It's nice to see such a good turnout, and I know that you're all aware that you're involved in a historic event here in the uplinking of this. We've had a number of reports back from the show last night where we uplinked the weekly showtime, and very good response from it. I'd like to talk today a little about what's happening in our industry from a different point of view. I've talked to you in the past and have had a lot of conversations with people who've been in the real world of communications about what really goes on. It's called the mainstream of video communications, or the mainstream of communications. And I must say that what we have done collectively as a group is that we've finally attracted enough attention that we've got people all over us. And each of you who are in the field are well aware of that. We've in a few short years placed enough satellite receiving system in the hands of consumers and businesses to get the attention of all the fish swimming in that mainstream. Unfortunately, we aren't quite big enough yet. We're at the 1.5 to 2 million level, and some of those fish are sharks, and they're looking at us saying, these guys aren't fellow fish, these are just food, and they're trying to gobble us up in that stream. We also suffer from something we've done to ourselves, because we've got a few snakes and piranha within our own little tributary that's flowing into that mainstream. So before discussing what it takes to survive in that mainstream, I'd like to say where we are right now. We've got between 1.5 to 2 million systems in the ground. I'm not quite sure what it takes to critical mass to be identified as a market on our own where people will compete for us. Some of that is going on now. To be an attractive market for wide-based advertising, the number may be 5 to 10 million home systems. So we're not far from that. We've reached the first plateau at the 2 million level where the people who thought we would never survive are now worried about us competing with them. That's a very good sign. This is a very seasonal business because it's a consumer business. I'm no expert on consumer economics, but I know from 5 years, 6 years now, I've experienced with Chaparral in this business that it has a yearly cycle. February every year is the lowest or slowest month in this market. It's generally true in the consumer electronics market, where the sales in the last 4 months of any year are usually equal to the sales in the first 8 months of the year. So it's a slow time. There are other factors that modify that slowness. Since if you have a really hard winter, like we've had 5 inches of rain a day in California for the last 3 days in certain areas, nobody's putting dishes in the ground there. Sales are stopped in that area. They get modified by weather conditions, by economic conditions. I also know in the state of California, for instance, you can go buy a Toyota truck now and get 5.9% financing. That says to me there's a general problem with consumer goods, not just the satellite industry. All of these things have added to put us in a peculiar place at this time. At this month, February of 1986, it is slow, but it is much slower than I've seen it be in a February before. And I think all of you are experiencing a similar thing. Let's take a look at that mainstream and who's in it now. The inhabitants of that mainstream that we are trying to flow into are not necessarily in the order of importance, but in the order of appearance: broadcast television, cable television, and the VCR. When broadcast television came in, the movie industry said these people will kill us. When cable television came in, the movie industry, the broadcast industry identified them as murderers. When the VCR came along, Hollywood sued Sony. Every new technology that comes along is identified as potentially dangerous and murderous. The fact is, every new technology that's come along has caused the video industry, the movie industry, everything to grow immensely beyond anybody's projections. We're in that position right now. We're muddying their waters. What's going on is not a fear of the technology itself. I think it's very well understood what this technology is going to do. The fear is that they aren't going to get a piece of the action. This is not going to settle down until the same thing happens that happened with VCRs, happened with cable, only 10 years ago, I would point out, and happened with broadcast television. You need a settling down so that the money flows from our customers, the consumer, from the dealers, but mainly from the consumer, back to Hollywood, back to the producers of the movie. It's a business. It's not a freebie. Once that happens, we are truly in the mainstream. We are part of the communications industry and flowing along with it. We have to get to sufficient size not to get gobbled up first. Now, a hardware industry like ours, or like the VCR industry, is very vulnerable. And the reason it's vulnerable is that our hardware is no good for anything without the software. That's computer talk. The software in this case is the video. It's the pictures we get on the screen. We aren't really selling hardware. Cable people don't really sell hardware. What they're selling is video. Now, those of us who are hardware oriented are going to be selling hardware for a long time and hopefully making some money at it. But the smart money in the industry says, hey, listen, the real money is in the video. You want to be in both. But a lot of people don't want to be in the video business. A lot of people want to be dealers, distributors, manufacturers. I have no interest in becoming a Hollywood producer. I want to produce good technical equipment and new equipment all the time. To survive, though, I need that flow of video. For you to survive, you need it also. So let's look at the current problem. There are two aspects of the payment. The cable industry is in a desperate struggle to grow and, I think, to survive. They absolutely have to have control of our video or all the video in the country if they are to accomplish their goals, which I will talk about shortly. Also, within our own industry, there are a few misinformed people who think either the video ought to be free or it ought to be paid for by somebody else. And I'd like to talk about those freeloaders first. As a group, the freeloaders have done nearly irreparable damage to all of us. From the prattle of some talk show hosts to the dealers who are advertising that it will always be free, there'll never be any scrambling, and you should write your congressman telling him that scrambling is immoral, illegal, and stupid. We have been damaged because those things are untrue. We are beginning to get back the image we had in 1980, which I know one of our guys came to one of the meetings one day wearing an eye patch and a hat, and we were all pirates at the time. We were pirates that were going to be put out of business by legislation in the Congress because we were doing something illegal. It took your trade association and a few of us working with it 4 years where we turned back negative legislation each year that would have made us illegal. It would have made it illegal for you to own a satellite receiver, for me to engage in the commerce or sell satellite receivers. We got that turned around. We got the pirate image turned around only to have come back upon us these people who don't understand and think that it should be free and therefore they're going to take it one way or another, make illegal decoders, do whatever you can. The stated goal of the trade association at the beginning was, a few of us realized that some of this would happen. You can't convince everybody they ought to pay for lunch. They're going to get it free if they can. We realized this from the beginning and said, hey, listen, our stand to Congress has got to be that we will pay for it when the time comes that you know how to pay for it. There are some goals in paying for it I'll get into in a minute. The main trouble I have with these people, in talking to any one of these people that thinks the system works this way or that way, if I can talk to them for a little while, I can generally turn them around. And so can you. Once you're informed, you should be able to turn them around. Because they're uninformed. They're not like many dealers talking to each other and finding out what's truly going on in the world, truly finding out that people in the video business take the same thing to survive that people in the hardware business do. That is customers and cash flow. They tend to feel, I'll go through the arguments I've had, and they're rather basic ones and very appealing when you look at the first part of it. The first one usually is, look, the space system was developed by taxpayer money. We developed those rockets. We developed the shuttle. We did all of this as taxpayers. Whatever is up there is ours. Well, the fact is the satellites that are up there, the communication satellites, are all paid for with private funds. Not our taxpayers' money. They're built by private companies. Many of the spacecraft we look at each day for our video are launched on non-American vehicles. They're launched by other launch vehicles. They're fully paid for, privately paid for launches. So the argument about the American technology that went into it doesn't really fit anymore because they bypassed it. They've launched with Ariane, for instance. There's another argument about the shuttle. The shuttle's been developed with taxpayer money. Anything that goes on the shuttle we as taxpayers have subsidized because the launcher of the spacecraft doesn't pay his fair share. I think that's well countered by the fact that the shuttle program is broadly sold to the Congress on the basis that you need military, industrial, and commercial launches to make the shuttle survive. So the fact is, unless these launches were there and people were paying this money in, the shuttle as a program wouldn't exist at all. So that argument doesn't hold any water. There is one good argument, though, and it's an argument that's similar to the airwaves being free. And that is, look, there are only so many orbital slots up there. They are therefore a valuable resource, a limited commodity, if you will, and they should be regulated. That's what's going on right now. Just like the airwaves, this gives the FCC, the Congress, the right to go in and regulate their use if they're not used well. If they're used, for instance, monopolize a single religion or a single business controlling the entire country, you will find the regulators step in and break that up until the free enterprise system spreads it out evenly again so that the slots and the satellites are used fairly. The other misconception about what we see coming out of the sky is one that I've only recently come to understand, I think in the last year. And maybe I can help you with your understanding of it too. We're used to advertising-supported television. When you look at advertising-supported television, you don't look at very many channels. When K-band DBS was proposed, it was proposed as a 6-channel system. 6 channels on this satellite, maybe another satellite. And there was some pressure at first to make it all cable, and then there was pressure, well, maybe we can support 5 or 6 channels with advertising. The problem is that our technology has spawned hundreds of channels. Cable systems now know that they can't survive with 12 channels because people know that there's more there and they want more choice. Cable systems need to get up in the 20 to 30 to 50 channel region if they have a large subscriber base so that people can have enough choice in it to be happy all the time. Cable people get very unhappy because they don't have choice. That's why our customers are so happy with their systems, because they have this immense choice, maybe too much choice. But the technology has spawned all these channels, and now the competition for advertising dollars is intense. The simple statement is that there is not enough advertising money in the world to support 150 channels of video coming out of the sky or anyplace else. There are some services that are entirely advertising supported. I think you see good examples of them, both on commercial television and some on the satellite. But people in the business who want to supply the video, who are doing a very good job, for instance, the basic services, the ones we all talk about that are partially advertising supported. I think Turner CNN is a very good example of that. Excellent service. It's given our networks as we know them a good run for their money. It's improved the news coverage all over the world, broadened the base of it a lot. It's a good thing. It's been good for all of us too. That is partly advertising supported, and it's partly supported by subscription fees, a small subscription fee from each viewer. Now, my understanding of some of the numbers are CNN has something like 35, 37 million subscribers. And the cash flow back to CNN for this is between 10 and 20 cents, maybe 20 to 25 cents per subscriber per month. That's, say, $2.50 per year. Yet Turner asked from us, Turner Broadcasting asked from us, $25 a year to watch CNN. 10-to-1 difference. That's not equitable in the view of many of us. Now, he needs that money to support it. Turner's been in this business. He's been up on the satellite for 9 years now, and as I understand it, that company just started making money last year. That's a lot to ask of a pioneer, to put in 9 years of effort and to take on a $2 billion debt load to supply free video to us. Now, it's just our technology that's created this number of channels. It's created this new need for different support, the combination of advertising and subscription. That fits very well with cable. Cable can get that money flow in. It's not clear how to make that work with satellite, and therein lies the problem. Now, there are lots of other ways you see stuff supported on the satellite. There are people up there that says, send me money. Just send it in. I'll take care of that money for you. Send it in each month. That's even better. There are those that try to get a subscription fee. There are some of the channels that will have their own decoding schemes, and they appeal to a certain group in the country. they will sell you a decoder. We see the baseball networks playing footsie with us now, saying, listen, you know, we've got all these baseball games on the backhaul feeds. Maybe we can go to a decoder scheme and get the sports fans to pay. There are a lot of different ways these can get paid for. And it's very experimental right now. Nobody really knows how it's going to work. And we're in on the ground floor. I think we're the guinea pigs. We're being experimented on a little bit. All right, so much for it being free. I think as a business person, each one of us realizes that if we want good quality video, we want more of it for the future, it's somehow got to be paid for, and we and our customers are going to wind up paying for it. It just can't be free because the system won't work at all. The real issue, what's going on right now, and why we are suffering partially a really bad February, is the issue of control. Now, cable thinks they have the answer for us. There are a number of cable MSOs or cable systems saying, we will put together the package. We'll put HBO in it, or we'll put Showtime in it, and we'll put all the basic services. They've put immense pressure on the basic services to scramble. And the response from our industry is, well, how can you allow anybody who's got any advertising to support scramble at all? And that was what I was just talking about. So they're going to put together this package, and they're going to sell it to us. Meantime, HBO comes out and says the price for the two together is $19.95. But go to your cable guy, he'll supply it to you. A lot of the cable guys are supplying it at $19.95. There are a lot of cable guys supplying it at $13.95 for the package together, not just the one, but the two of them. So there's competition in that already. As a matter of fact, Mr. Horowitz of HBO some time ago made this comment. He happened to be giving a talk in Canada, and he said the skies are going to go dark. And he was right about that in Canada, because there are no agreements that any of the major suppliers have with Hollywood that allow them to distribute in Canada, Mexico, Venezuela, the Caribbean, whatever. Only those of us here in the U.S. can buy decoders to watch those services. Well, there are decoders in Canada, there are decoders in Mexico, there are decoders all over the Caribbean. How? Well, I know how to get a decoder. It's authorized. I don't know what my name is. When it went back to HBO, I'm paying my monthly bill through a middleman. But that decoder is available at a fairly non-competitive price for HBO Cinemax for $13.95 a month. I've heard others being sold in, well, there's several states, I won't mention them now. There are 4 or 5, and they're very competitive with each other, offering the combined services for as low as $11. These decoders are going out of the country. When you want to buy something, when I want to buy something, I go to the person who's selling it. Now, many companies can't sell to you directly. They're geared to manufacturing or geared to producing a product, so they have a distributor or a broker. And you go to that middleman because that middleman can add something of value. That middleman can do the billing, produce a program guide, add something that you need along with that product, servicing, anything. The cable company has nothing to add to HBO for me, or the MSO has nothing to add to HBO for me, only cost. HBO has done it already. I should be able to buy from HBO directly. I mean, they're a good middleman, as is Showtime, as some of the others that are coming along. They're the middleman. Hollywood has, I want the money to go to the artist that made that movie. I don't want to line the pockets of 2 middlemen or 3. That's unnecessary. Now, the real crux of this is, and I told you it was a desperate struggle, the real crux is that cable has been deregulated by the same legislation that made us legal and non-piratical. Cable, in deregulation, has now the ability to raise its prices. Cable must raise its prices. It needs to build bigger systems, more channels. It needs to penetrate where there are less than 35 homes per mile if it's going to be true cable, if it's going to penetrate much farther into this country, if it's going to penetrate the last 25 to 50 million homes that are really our market. It needs a lot of money to do that. It has to raise those rates. Now, it was deregulated in light of our technology. Our technology being satellite. One congressman, Billy Tozen, said, listen, you guys, you got competition now. The satellite industry is the competition. Well, the American system doesn't work by competitors supplying video to each other because the prices will go up. Cable needs control of our video prices so that they can raise their video prices. We have no intention of raising video prices. What we have the intention of doing is being such a broadly based, attractive market that we drive video prices down through competition. That will cause cable a lot of trouble. I don't know quite how to solve that, but the fact is that we have the ultimate technology. Cable is a technology that requires an immense amount of maintenance, and those of us who've been in the business know that. It takes a lot of maintenance. There's always trouble with it. Quality never goes up. It's like an oil leak. It never slows down. Quality always goes down. You need to fix it all the time. That maintenance is there. In a satellite system, that's not true. The maintenance is a distributed problem. Each of us owns a satellite dish. We have to fix it. We have to get it fixed. It's all there. The pipeline, the cable from the sky, never needs any maintenance. So it's, as an ultimate technology, it's very attractive in that way because the costs, once the systems are in, are fixed and very low. Now, each of you sees the pressures that are going on. The pressures on Turner Broadcasting, the pressures on HBO, the pressures on Showtime are to be cable friendly. And that isn't going to change. These people have 35 to 40 million subscribers in the cable industry. The cable industry has been very friendly and very fair with them. They are the reason for these suppliers' success over the years. They're not going to cut their chains, their bonds from these people and say, turn their back on and say, hey, we're going to go to the home satellite people. They're the market of the future. They all know we're the market of the future. They all believe they're market of the future, but they can't insult their present customer, especially when their present customer is the reason they exist in the first place and the way they will exist for probably 5 more years. What we have to do is become successful enough that we're an attractive market, and it isn't cable versus satellite. We are truly in the mainstream, and the payment is flowing, and there is no controversy over it anymore. Now, nothing's changed from what I've told you before. We are still an ultimate technology. The technology, any new technology that comes along disturbs a lot of people and upsets the marketplace. I think eventually, though, and eventually is not too far away, it's when we get to 5 to 10 million systems, it will be recognized in a way that will be complementary and there won't be the problem. Make no mistake, the battle we're in over control of programming is very serious. Space yesterday adopted a number of programs designed to inform the public about the real truth and what is really out there through PR and through advertising. We're going to fight this battle through legislation, we're going to fight it through legal action, and we're going to fight it in the marketplace. You and I are going to wind up fighting it in the marketplace. It's going to be a tough fight. I ask that you join me. Join me by becoming informed. And if you will, join me by joining Space and helping Space with the things that you know and letting Space help you with the things that Space knows from its various battles. We need a lot of support. We've got a number of legal actions coming. We've got a number of legislative actions coming, and these hearings that are coming up in March 6th are very important to us because hearings, there have been a lot of things said by cable companies in private to suppliers. There's been a lot of pressure put on to scramble. We feel that there are some antitrust implications to this, and we want these all to come out before Congress. We want it all shaken out so it's in the open. Unfortunately, those of you who have told your customers it's free, 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 and we're never going to scramble, some of you are going to be asked by the congressman, how come you told your customer that? The only unhappy satellite owners I know out there right now are ones that have been lied to. I'm a satellite owner that does not have a decoder. I am not unhappy about the encrypted channels. They make no difference to me because I know I've still got 70 or 80 channels of good stuff to watch that I can't get any other way and never will get any other way. Your customers are the same. They've got all these channels there that they'll always be able to watch. Once you sell a satellite system honestly, you've got a happy customer. Now, something you should know. There are many companies out there that are doing well right now. It's a very regional thing. We've got representatives from our company all over the country. The guy from the Northwest is really discouraged at the moment. He says, I don't want to go back there. He says it's either ice or snow, and he says everybody's sitting indoors drinking something. He said nobody's selling anything up there. In the South, we've seen it begin to move, a pretty good turnaround last week, as a matter of fact. Universally, though, the people that are doing well, the dealers that are doing well, are the ones that have addressed the scrambling problem head on. They have made arrangements with local cable companies where they could find one who knew anything. They have made arrangements with them to get decoders and get them in to their customers. They have advertised, come in, talk about scrambling, we'll talk to you about it. All of you who are dealer members of Space have received a promotional brochure, a big poster, a number of smaller reductions of that poster that list every channel that's on the satellite, which ones are unscrambled, which ones are going to scramble, what descrambling technology you'll have to use. The idea that there are video suppliers that won't sell to your customers is gone. I remind you, it's just a little over a year ago we were illegal, or quasi. We were not defined as legal, which we are now. We had no programmers saying that they would talk to us. We now have all the programmers advertising, saying, hey, we want to sell to you. That's very healthy. So that's all turned around now, and there's going to be a lot of competition there. The next shoe to drop, of course, will be Showtime, and then there will be competition in the scrambled segment. There's no competition in there right now, so there's no sense anybody to lower prices except for these cable guys. They're going to cut each other's throats. But when we have two major suppliers scrambling, then it starts. The key is really competition. There are at least 3 packagers. I see 2 representatives from 2 of those groups sitting in this room who are trying to put together independent packages aimed at us, not aimed at cable companies, not aimed at anybody else, but aimed at the home viewing industry. Similarly, the baseball network or the backfeed networks are looking at our industry and not cable. As a matter of fact, the announcement I saw on the backfeeds for the sports events said we aren't really interested in the cable market, we're interested in the home satellite market. That's the first one of those I've heard. So all that movement is going on. We haven't seen any of them really emerge yet. My suspicion is, if I had a personal comment to make, which I will, that none of these packagers, the independent packagers aiming at our industry, have been very successful because of the immense pressure put on the program suppliers by the cable industry, saying, if you deal with those guys, we're not going to send money to you anymore. I'd like in the congressional hearings one of those conversations to come out. That is going to bust it open so the packagers aiming at our industry can get in, do negotiations with the studios, do negotiations with other suppliers of video, sports, and so on, so that we don't have a double middleman scheme. Now, let me talk to you a little bit about how to conduct your business. I said the people that have addressed scrambling head-on are the ones that are doing well right now. And I think that's going to be true for the future. You have a multifaceted product. There will be freebies. There will be subscription thing. I think pay-per-view will emerge at some time where the technology will get to the point where you can pay for an individual movie. People don't have to buy that. You don't have to sell that necessarily. All you have to say is you have a choice. You have an immense choice. You have a choice of 100 channels. You have a choice of 70 channels, whatever it is. And you have a choice of paying for these channels if you want. Experiment with them and see. But you have to have that open to your customers. Now, let me warn you. I don't know how many of you, I bought a Hewlett-Packard Model 35 calculator for $385 when they first came out because I just had to have one. You can now buy a calculator that does more than a Hewlett-Packard 35, runs on solar power, never needs any batteries, and it's $4.95, almost 100 to 1. You're seeing the same thing happen with satellite equipment. I don't know why automobiles don't go that way, but consumer electronics certainly go that way. That's the history of it. Decoders will go that way. The prices of video will go that way, and that's all good for us. The prices of satellite systems will go that way, and I hope to be able to contribute to the technology to make the dish size go that way so that the market is even larger. So all of this augurs very well. We have the ultimate technology. We see that there's free video. We see that there's video supplied to us that we can pay for. We have everything in hand. It's just a matter of holding on and moving forward and being very honest with our consumer. I would urge you to do that, and what we will all see is the American free enterprise system work in the way it really is meant to work. Thank you very much.
The Trans 10 by Qualtronics, quality you've grown to expect from the entire Trans series of antennas. Tested and compatible for KU band as well as C-band reception. Guaranteed for 2-degree spacing as well. Thanks to tests by the McDonnell Douglas Corporation. The Trans 10 continues to be the most sought-after antenna in the marketplace because of performance, strength, and dependability. Eye-appealing with baked acrylic, thermoset black finish, the Trans 10 simply looks great. The two-stage rib design assures fast, snug assembly of the panel, less than 1 hour for the entire assembly, and UPS shippable too. This is quality you've grown to expect from Qualtronics, where performance and dependability are everyday words. The Trans 10 simply outperforms the competition.
In 1981, we set out to build a unique satellite TV magazine. For 5 years, we've covered all the satellite program news and now bring you over 8,000 hours of satellite viewing each week with the easiest to read grid format. If you own a dish, you need to know. And when you need to know, you need Channel Guide. For your free sample, call us at 800-654-3006. Channel Guide gets with the program.
Welcome back. Joe, that was a fine example of the quality of the speech and the fine leadership that we have experienced under the direction of Taylor Howard.
No question, Jerry. I think that as Dave's introductory remarks tell, we see that Taylor is well equipped to be handling this position with all of his experience at Stanford University and at NASA. Taylor is an engineer, he's a spokesman, and he has just been leading this industry from the very beginning, and he's a fine credit to the industry.
He is definitely one of our finest credits. One of the things that happened with the banquet was because of the restricted number of seats in the banquet at Las Vegas, which is held in usually one of the entertainment rooms, not too many people generally have an opportunity to attend the banquet. Now, we had some fine entertainment by Dean Martin after the dinner. However, two of the keynote speeches that were presented at the banquet, which were taped previous interviews by both Timothy Worth and Al Gore, because they could not attend the convention itself, were done and presented to the banquet attendees and prefaced the keynote speaker Charlie Rose's address, both of which were very, very good, right in tune speeches. Now, you saw the Tim Worth address. You weren't at the banquet yourself because you were out busy doing an NBC local interview at the time, which is some of the things that we staff members have to do at these trade shows. We work, I would say, considerably hard and do a lot of the running around. And although going to Las Vegas is a glamorous type thing,
I think we were in the spotlight. There's no question we were at the spotlight in Las Vegas. And as you'll see in this upcoming address by Representative Tim Worth, Representative Worth is a Democrat from Colorado. He is also the chairman of the Subcommittee on Telecommunications. That subcommittee will be holding hearings on March 6th on our industry, on scrambling. They are very important. They'll serve as an important spotlight to identify a lot of the key problems that are underway right now, and Representative Worth will be addressing these issues in a moment.
It was an excellent, excellent speech, and we're gonna run that for you right now.
Good evening. I'm delighted to speak with you tonight and to share with you some of the challenges that we face in realizing the true promise of the exciting new technology of satellite dishes. I regret that I can't be there in person because of a prior commitment, but thanks to modern telecommunications, I can be 2 places at once, and I'm very pleased that one of those places is the Space Convention. The fact that this convention has drawn so much attention and enthusiasm shows how far this critical consumer industry has come in such a very short period of time. After all, it was just over a year ago that the legislation which I authored, legalizing the use of backyard satellite dishes, was signed into law, just a year ago. Since that time, we've witnessed an explosive growth in the TVRO industry, with sales of dishes estimated to be as high as 40,000 a month and a total of nearly 2 million dishes nationwide. Interest in your industry, like the industry itself, has grown exponentially. The backyard satellite dish has grown from a curiosity piece of equipment to perhaps the major consumer electronics public policy issue today. Thanks to the satellite dish, Americans all across the nation now have access to exciting new programming sources, so numerous that it would take all 3 hours of primetime TV to sample each satellite channel. In 1986, dish owners have the ability to watch in a single night what would have been a whole year's worth of programming in 1966. And most importantly, our citizens in rural areas like my home state of Colorado now have access to the incredibly diverse television programming that previously was accessible only to those wired to a cable system. In short, the backyard satellite dish now plays a critical role in providing access to and developing a diverse and competitive mass media marketplace. Goals that diversity and competition, goals that I've consistently worked to achieve as chairman of the Subcommittee on Telecommunications, Consumer Protection, and Finance. Now, despite all of the excitement there at the convention, I know many of you have grave concerns about the future of your industry. As someone who has seen the mass media marketplace evolve over the last 6 years, I believe that the future of your industry is a bright one. You will have many more of these conventions, and the crowds will grow. However, consumers all across the nation have voiced confusion over the scrambling of satellite-delivered programming, and dish sales have dropped dramatically in some areas. As one who's worked closely with all of you in the development of this important industry, I understand your concerns about the plight of your industry. Consequently, I have scheduled a subcommittee hearing on March 6th to help clear up the confusion and to examine the public policy questions which have arisen as a result of scrambling. This hearing will take a look back over the last year since we formally legalized this industry and a look ahead at some of the public policy challenges that we face. Our broad focus will be to ensure that dish owners can receive access to scrambled programming at competitive rates. Specifically, we will examine scrambling by the broadcast networks and superstations where there has been no intention shown to market their scrambled signals to dish owners. We will also explore the development of a uniform descrambling standard and how consumers can avoid any need to acquire multiple decoding devices. There are also legislative proposals on these issues before the subcommittee that will be examined as well. In short, we will explore the important issue of preserving access to satellite-delivered programming in an environment where signals are scrambled. That's a lot of important ground to cover in just one hearing. What's more, there are other critical issues in this area that warrant careful congressional consideration. Consequently, I am pleased to announce that the Telecommunications Subcommittee will hold a second day of hearings on the scrambling issue in the near future. Now, scrambling does not mean the end of the backyard dish. Congress's responsibility as we move into the new era of program scrambling is to ensure that dish owners have access to that programming at competitive rates. Just putting the congressional spotlight on the development of this market should greatly help to achieve our goals. Prior to the passage of my legislation in 1984, many program services indicated no willingness to sell their product to the backyard dish market. However, since enactment of this legislation, which legalized the backyard dish industry, these program services have changed their views and have begun to determine how to provide their programming to dish owners. Congress did not force them to do that, but the congressional spotlight, through the legislation which I authored, lit the path for that change to happen. That spotlight will shine again on March 6th and will continue to shine to preserve satellite dish owners with access to scrambled programming at competitive rates. Now, all of you with us tonight have a vital stake in the new world of telecommunications. Indeed, you are the vanguard of our transition to a new age. You represent that dynamic force of technological change that so benefits consumers and our entire economy. I recently came across a letter, and I might add that its authenticity has been questioned by the Library of Congress, but it's a good letter in any case. This letter helps to put those who might resist innovation and technological change into some perspective. This letter was purportedly sent in 1829 by Martin Van Buren, then the governor of New York, to President Andrew Jackson. And the letter read, "Dear Mr. President, the canal system of this country is being threatened by the spread of a new form of transportation known as railroads. The federal government must preserve the canals for the following reasons. 1. If canal boats are supplanted by railroads, serious unemployment will result. Captains, cooks, drivers, hostlers, repairmen, and lock tenders will be left without the means of livelihood, not to mention the numerous farmers now employed in growing hay for horses. 2. Boat builders would suffer and tow line, whip harness makers would be left destitute. And 3, canal boats are absolutely essential to the defense of the United States. In the event of the expected trouble with England, the Erie Canal would be the only means by which we could ever move the supplies so vital to waging modern war. For the above-mentioned reasons, the government should create an Interstate Commerce Commission to protect the American people from the evils of railroads and to preserve the canals for posterity. As you may know, Mr. President, railroad carriages are pulled at the enormous speed of 15 miles per hour by engines which, in addition to endangering life and limb of passengers, roar and snort their way through the countryside, setting fire to crops, scaring the livestock, and frightening women and children. The Almighty certainly never intended that the people should travel at such breakneck speed. Signed, Martin Van Buren, Governor of New York. Yes, all of you represent change, necessary change in our economy and in our marketplaces. And with that change comes public policy challenges, challenges that will not only affect the TVRO industry, but which will also play a significant role in the shaping of our society as it enters the electronic information age. But by working together and recognizing the vital needs and interests at work in this new industry, we can ensure that the new telecommunications era has plenty of room for consumers with their backyard dishes. Thank you for asking me to speak with you this evening. I look forward to hearing your concerns at our upcoming hearings and to working with you to ensure the continued growth and success of this critical consumer technology. Again, thank you and have a good convention.
Now the tremendous growth of the satellite industry has given birth to a unique trade show, the Satellite Opportunities Expo for Home and Business. Sponsored by Satellite Opportunities and KU Band World magazines and the University of Mississippi, the Expo brings together for the first time home and business applications for satellite communications. The Satellite Opportunities Expo and Conference will be held at Nashville's famous Opryland Hotel, April 6th through 8th. The Expo includes special conferences for home TVRO and satellite business services and showcases KU Band technology. Pre-register and save 25%. Pre-registration for the Home TVRO Conference and Trade Show is $30, $40 at the door. And for the Satellite Business Conference, $95 or $120 at the door. Registration for either conference includes the full 3 days of the trade show. For more information, just call toll-free 1-800-922-2812. The Satellite Opportunities Expo, 1-800-922-2812. Call today.
Welcome back again. Joe, this next interview that was presented and shown at the banquet is by Senator Albert Gore. Albert Gore, who was formerly Congressman Gore, has been a great friend to our industry for several years now.
It's no question, Jerry. Senator Gore has introduced a very important piece of legislation into the Senate, S-1618. He'll be discussing this in his speech, but very briefly, it ensures, first of all, that satellite dish owners have access to scrambled programming, and secondly, that they have access at reasonable rates. These are two very key issues which your association has also been fighting very hard in your behalf for over the past 5 years.
As Senator Gore points out, this is the first technology to come along which addresses rural America first instead of the urban areas. Let's roll that piece now.
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. I'm sorry I can't be with you tonight in Las Vegas. I've been in touch with space officials this week, and they tell me you're having another great convention. Unfortunately, the Senate is in session this week, and I'm actively involved in an effort, among other things, to get the Senate to open up its proceedings to television. If all goes well, this time next year, your customers will have yet one more good reason to own an Earth station. As we open this institution to television, as we did in the House of Representatives, it will represent another step forward. The fight to open the Senate to television and the fight to keep satellite television programs flowing to Earth station owners are really based on a similar principle. This country can only benefit from an open, unencumbered, free flow of information to all its people, whether they live in cities or in rural America, whether they watch cable television or depend on satellite signals. I am confident that the Senate will eventually see the wisdom of opening up our proceedings to television and to people everywhere. And I'm just as confident that we will eventually overcome the forces that now seek to restrict the open availability of satellite-delivered information. We won a great victory at the FCC last month. The Commission's decision to override discriminatory local zoning measures removed another major obstacle to growth in the earth station industry. Never again will powerful corporate forces be able to shut you out by writing unfair zoning laws clearly designed to keep you from competing for customers. The next fight is obviously now before us. The need to enact new laws to protect earth station owners from ruthless price gouging by programmers, cable consortiums, or others who would keep you out by pricing you out. Scrambling is real. It's happening now, and we must live with it. But we do not have to live with the kind of anti-competitive, monopolistic, cartel-like plans of the major corporate cable interests that tell us, okay, we may sell our signal to you, but we'll take our sweet time deciding how, from whom, and for how much. It's one thing for a programmer acting in his own economic best interest to seek reasonable compensation for his product at fair competitive rates. That's how the free market is supposed to work. But in the current scramble to scramble, these huge cable interests are holding a gun at the heads of programmers and saying, whether you want to or not, whether you can afford to or not, whether it helps you grow or not, you are going to scramble your signal, or else we'll kick you out of the living rooms of the customers to whom we control the access. Now, each week we learn of yet another programmer, usually advertiser-supported, reporting that he's threatened with a loss of his entire market if he doesn't scramble to accommodate one or more MSOs. I believe that this is wrong and represents a terrible distortion of the competitive marketplace, and I intend to do everything I can to correct it. As you know, I've introduced S1618, the Satellite Television Viewing Rights Act, along with Senators Thad Cochran of Mississippi and Paul Laxalt of Nevada. They're co-sponsors. We plan to make a personal appeal to our colleagues in the Senate to join us as more sponsors of this important bill, and we need your help. Senators and their staffs are besieged with requests to join on bills, and we have to make our effort a priority in each Senate office. If we are to obtain thorough hearings and debate on this growing problem and the legislation designed to correct it, we must have many more co-sponsors. So please write your senators, call them, meet with them, and meet with their staff members responsible for communications issues. Make sure they understand that you're on the ropes, that your earth station owners in their state are about to be cut off and there is little prospect for fair treatment without legislation. Let them know that earth station owners are willing to pay fair prices for these programs. They're not asking for them for free. But also tell them that there are millions of Americans out there who will not sit back and be gouged. Let them know that S1618 is not re-regulation of cable. It's not heavy-handed government interference in the marketplace. Let them know that, in fact, S1618 will finally let the market work the way it's supposed to. Let them know that without fair pricing rules, an entire industry is endangered. An industry and a technology that, for once, came to rural America first. And finally, let your senators know that we need them now as co-sponsors if we're to have a chance. You have a great future, and I'm proud to have been a small part of your growth. Someday, the home earth station industry will be the communication system of choice for practically every American home. The road to that point in our technological development may be rocky at times, but we will get there, and working together, we will prevail. Thank you.
With more than 100 channels available on your home satellite system, a good programming guide is an absolute necessity. OnSat packs more viewing information in its 88-page weekly format than any other program guide, including daily primetime highlights in a handy grid format, plus complete listings in an easy-to-read rolling log. Daily sports listings by category. The largest alphabetical movie description of any satellite guide. A complete listing of satellite locations and each transponder, and much, much more. All of this can be yours for only $45 per year. That's less than $1 per week. We're so sure you'll like OnSat that we would like to send you a free sample copy. Pick up the telephone and call toll-free now for your free copy of OnSat. Call 1-800-438-2020. That's 1-800-438-2020.
Satellite TV Preview is the best thing next to your satellite dish. With all those programs now at your fingertips, you won't want to miss a thing. Satellite TV Preview lists over 100 transponders in an easy-to-read weekly grid schedule. It has a daily list of movies, special, and sports, plus a list of sports by event. Call and subscribe now for only $48 for 52 issues and save $30 off the newsstand price. Or call for a free sample copy. Dealers, we also have a special offer for you. Call now, 800-826-0735. Visa and MasterCard accepted. Satellite TV Preview, the best thing next to television.
Well, that was Albert Gore, Senator from Tennessee. As you can tell by his speech, he is definitely upbeat on this industry. I've talked to you for the last several weeks, especially you dealers, about keeping a level of enthusiasm. If we can be as enthused as the legislators that are supporting our industry, I think we'll all fare well. What do you think, Joe?
No question, Jerry. I think that we want to try to mobilize all this enthusiasm and momentum that we've built throughout the show and bring that momentum into Washington on March 6th, not only in Washington, but also in your local marketplaces, because we will all be in this together. We will all be interconnected. Although the hearings will be underway in Washington, you will be involved in countless interviews with your own local reporters, either at radio and television stations or at newspapers, building the momentum at the local level. And I think it's important that we rally around this industry, that these hearings are going to enable the industry to heighten awareness of problems, to work on these problems, and in the end run to ensure that we do have scrambled programming, that this programming is available at reasonable rates. At the same time we are on this track, we are also on another track of selling a terrific consumer electronics product. Jerry, I mean, we've always said this is the greatest thing since sliced bread. This product offers more choice and it offers better reception than anything else in the field today.
We've got a lot of things going for us. Rural America, grassroots support. We've got congressmen, as Charlie Rose told us, from every walk of life, representing every party, representing every cross-section of American people, both urban and rural, and it's just exciting. We hope to have Charlie Rose on one of these upcoming shows in the next few weeks. Another exciting speaker and a staunch supporter of our industry. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank our corporate sponsors this week, Luxor and Caltronics. We'll be back next week with another edition of Space Showtime.